Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Bob Keller Hour. Once again, like I always say, this isn't going to last an hour because I know you're busy people and you don't have time to sit and listen to me go on for an hour. What I want to talk to you today about is, I hear people all the time complaining about their jobs and how bad their jobs are. So I just went online the other day and Googled occupations, and a site popped up that was obsolete occupations. And I read through those to see, what some other occupations used to be, and some of them really jumped off the page at me. So I'm going to go through a few of these to you and explain what they are. The first one was a barber surgeon. And that is exactly what it says. It was a barber who was also a surgeon. And this was mostly during war times. And the only qualifications he had for being a barber surgeon was he had sharp razors, he had sharp knives, and he had sharp scissors. So he got to be a barber surgeon. And mostly what he did was amputate limbs. And, I think that's, that would be pretty bad. If he also maybe had a shovel, maybe he could be the grave digger too. He'd be one-stop shopping. He could tell the guy, well, sorry, I had to cut your leg off and you might not make it, but on the bright side, I give you a haircut and a shave so you're looking real good for when I dig the hole and bury you. I like my barber, but I don't think I want to go to the barber shop and get a haircut and have him say, hey, while you're here, won't you let me amputate that left leg for you? I think that's pushing it a little bit too far. So, maybe the barber surgeon deal wasn't such a good idea. And the next one that kind of spoke to me was a dog whipper. In this day and age, this guy'd probably get arrested for animal cruelty. But what this was, and it was even for a church, no less. This guy, his responsibility was he had a whip, and when people come to church for the services, if their dogs followed him, it was his job. If the dogs got rowdy and started fighting and barking, it was his job to whip them, and he had something they called dog tongs, and he drug them off. And, I'm thinking, I'm all for making jobs for people, but that's a little bit ridiculous. Wouldn't it be a little bit smarter just to tell the people coming to church, make sure your dogs stay at home so they don't have to come here and be whipped? The next one that I was talking about, when you first look at it, it kind of sounds like it might be animal cruelty too, and it's called a donkey puncher. And I'm thinking, this guy, I go back to the movie Blazing Saddles where Mongo comes up there and punches that horse and knocks it out, and that's what I'm thinking. But actually a donkey puncher was a guy who rode on a sled with a steam engine on it, and it had a winch, and he drug logs around. And I'm thinking, what does that have to do with punching donkeys? But that's what they called this rig he rode on, was a donkey. And he also had a guy that helped him, and he was called a steampunk. And I'm thinking, what in the world is a steampunk? Well, it's this guy's job to toot the whistle, to toot the horn, to let people know they were coming and where they were going. And I'm thinking, this guy's just riding on this sled and dragging logs around. Why can't he toot the horn himself? And then it kind of flashed on me. Well, maybe that's where the saying come from, don't toot your own horn. So he had to have this guy to toot the horn for him. So, if you ever get to a place where you're thinking you're all that and you want to toot your own horn, just get yourself a steampunk and have him toot it for you. The next one that come to mind off of there was called a gong farmer. And I'm thinking, a gong farmer. You plant seeds, you grow gongs, and you go out and harvest them, but that's got nothing to do with it. Now, this was a real great job. This guy's job was to go to the holes under the outhouses when they got full and shovel them out. Now, if you think you got a crappy job, think of this guy. He's out there cleaning out the outhouses. And they also say that these guys only worked at night, which I can understand because, I hate to see someone go out to the outhouse first thing in the morning, sit down and have somebody yell at them, hey, I'm working down here. They might give them a heart attack or they might run out and hurt themselves, and then they'd end up having to go to the barber surgeon and get a leg cut off or something. So, I don't think I'd want that job either. The next one, now, when I say this one, you might think the same thing I thought of when I read it, but it's called a knocker-up. And what I was thinking and what you might be thinking isn't what it is. What this guy's job was, he went around, he got paid to do this too, went around early in the mornings, and he had a stick, and he banged on people's doors to wake them up. And if they lived upstairs 2 or 3 floors up, he had a pea shooter where he would shoot peas on their windows to wake them up. And, I can imagine this guy probably got chased away and mean-mouthed, probably set the dogs on him and had to get a dog whipper out there to help him. But, that to me, that would be a rotten job to have to go around waking people up with a stick banging on their door. The next one I want to talk to you about is a whipping boy. You know, we've all heard that saying. We've had people say, well, my boss just uses me as a whipping boy. Every time something goes wrong, he blames me for it, and I get in trouble for it. Well, back in the ancient times when they had the kings and the queens and the princes, they actually had someone called a whipping boy. And what the whipping boy was, he hung around with the prince. If there's a young prince, he hung around with him, and then if the prince did something wrong, they whipped the whipping boy for what the prince did to teach him a lesson. Now, I don't know what lesson I taught that prince other than I can do whatever I want because this guy's going to get whipped and I'm okay. You know, I got to thinking, if you have a prince who's a mean or a little demented or just, you know, just a rotten guy, you might be getting whipped a lot. And you might be thinking, maybe sometime at night I'm going to take this prince out back to the outhouse and put him in there just for the gong farmer to find someday when he's cleaning out the outhouse. Because I don't think a whipping boy would be too good a job. So I guess what I'm trying to do through all this is just tell you, well, if you're complaining about how bad your job is, you know, you might want to reconsider. You don't have any of these jobs. You know, one of the worst I could think of would be the gong farmer. I don't, you know, what would position, you know, a guy'd have to need money and a job pretty bad to agree to be a gong farmer, because that doesn't sound like too good a job for me. And, you know, the whipping boy, I don't think that would be a good one either. Well, thank everyone for watching me today, and I hope your job is better than these guys' jobs, and thank you for coming and watching me. See you later.